What if everything we've been told about human history is incomplete? Not wrong, necessarily, just missing entire chapters. The artifacts you're about to see are real. They exist in museums, in private collections, buried under bureaucratic silence. And every single one poses a question that archaeology still can't answer cleanly. These aren't myths. These are physical objects that don't fit the timeline. 7 discoveries that challenge what we thought we knew about the past. A hill in the Visoko Valley catches sunlight at strange angles. Too symmetrical. Dr. Samir Osmanagic noticed it on satellite imagery in 2005 and decided to investigate. What ground-penetrating radar revealed beneath the soil wasn't natural. The structure measured 220 meters tall, larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, covered in precisely fitted concrete blocks. When samples were tested, the material dated to approximately 25,000 years ago. That's 12,000 years before Sumer, before the first cities, before anyone was supposed to know how to make concrete. But the strangest part wasn't the age. Researchers detected ultrasound beams emanating from the apex, a steady frequency of 28 kilohertz. Constant, directed. No natural formation does this. No ancient structure we've studied behaves this way. The European Archaeological Association called it pseudoscience and pressured for excavations to stop. Funding dried up, but the energy transmission continues. The pyramid is still there, still broadcasting a signal no one has explained. Some geologists argue the blocks are just compressed sediment, shaped by erosion. But the material composition doesn't match. Others believe it was built by a forgotten civilization, one that understood energy in ways we're only beginning to grasp. The Bosnian Pyramid remains one of the most controversial sites on Earth, a structure transmitting something we can detect but not decode. Walking through the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro feels wrong. The streets are too quiet. British archaeologists arrived in the 1920s expecting pottery shards and clay tablets. What they found instead were streets fused into glass. Clay and sand had melted together at temperatures reaching 1,400 to 1,500 degrees Celsius. Stone had vitrified. Pottery had liquefied. This level of heat doesn't occur in ordinary fires. It requires something far more intense, like an industrial furnace or something worse. Scattered across the ruins were skeletons, dozens of them, collapsed mid-stride as if struck down instantly. Radiation levels measured 50 times higher than normal. Ancient Sanskrit texts describe weapons called brahmastra, devices that create a column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns. The descriptions are disturbingly similar to nuclear detonation, but that technology didn't exist 4,000 years ago, or so we believe. Mainstream archaeology explains the vitrified stones as lightning strikes or accidental kiln explosions. But lightning doesn't melt city blocks. Kilns don't leave radiation signatures across entire districts. The most radioactive artifacts were removed by British teams in the 1920s and never displayed publicly. Some researchers believe Mohenjo-Daro was destroyed by an advanced weapon. Others think the radiation is geological, a freak anomaly. But the glass remains. The skeletons remain. And no explanation has ever fully accounted for what happened in that city. A rumor pulled an expedition underground in 1976. Thousands of metal sheets, the locals said, hidden in caves beneath the Ecuadorian jungle. The joint British-Ecuadorian team was led by Neil Armstrong. The first man on the moon, descending into the earth. Inside the Taos caves, they found what the rumors described: thin, hammered metal sheets covered in unknown script, crystal furniture, stone carvings of creatures that resembled dinosaurs. The expedition was official, documented, and then it went silent. Photographs were taken but never released. The Vatican sent representatives, though no one has explained why. Armstrong himself refused to discuss what he saw. Not in interviews, not in his memoir. When pressed, he would only say some things are better left undiscovered. Mainstream archaeologists dismissed the metal library as either misidentified or fabricated by treasure hunters. But the expedition included scientists and government officials. This wasn't a fringe operation. The artifacts, if real, would predate known writing systems in the Americas by thousands of years. Some believe the metal sheets contain records from a lost civilization, knowledge of astronomy or technology we've forgotten. Others think the findings were too disruptive to existing timelines. The Taos cave remains restricted. The artifacts are stored away, and whatever Armstrong saw, he carried to his grave. Testing was supposed to be routine. Ancient human DNA, maybe insights into migration. In 2014, a lab analyzed skulls excavated from Paracas, Peru. The results didn't make sense. The mitochondrial DNA contained mutations unknown in humans, primates, or any cataloged animal. The cranial volume was 25% larger than human average, not through deformation, but through structural differences. These weren't stretched skulls. The bone itself was different. The cranial capacity expanded in ways artificial head binding can't replicate. When preliminary findings were released, the lab director received threats. The geneticist involved lost funding. Further testing was halted. The skulls were removed from public access. Skeptics argue contamination, or a rare unidentified human subgroup. But contamination doesn't explain bone structure. It doesn't explain mutation patterns that don't exist in any known genome. And it doesn't explain why research stopped so abruptly. Some researchers believe the Paracas skulls represent a separate lineage, not quite human. Others suspect genetic anomalies we don't yet understand, possibly from extreme isolation or environmental factors. The skulls remain in storage, untouched. The questions they raise, unanswered. What were these beings, and why does their DNA refuse to fit? Between 1890 and 1920, farmers across Michigan kept finding the same thing: clay and copper tablets buried in fields, covered in ancient writing, depicting scenes from biblical history in pre-Columbian America. Thousands of them. Museums displayed the artifacts. Scholars examined them. Then the Smithsonian intervened, declaring them fraudulent without independent testing. Museums were pressured to destroy their collections. Most complied. The tablets were smashed, buried, erased, but some survived. In 2023, metallurgical analysis on remaining copper pieces showed genuine age over 1,000 years old. The findings were compiled, reviewed, and never published. Mainstream archaeology maintains the relics are elaborate 19th century hoaxes created by farmers or religious enthusiasts. But the metallurgy contradicts that. So does the linguistic consistency across thousands of separate objects found in unrelated locations. Some believe the tablets are evidence of transatlantic contact long before Columbus. Others think they challenge established narratives in ways that are academically inconvenient. The Michigan relics don't fit the accepted timeline. They complicate the story, and so most were destroyed. But a few still exist. quietly contradicting everything we've been taught about isolated continents. A farmer near Lake Titicaca uncovered a ceramic bowl. Weathered, cracked, unremarkable until someone studied the markings closely. The surface was covered in Sumerian cuneiform and Proto-Sumerian script, writing from Mesopotamia over 3,500 years old, in Bolivia. Linguistic experts examined the inscriptions. The translation read, "Divine Oracle of the Creator." The grammar, syntax, and archaic terms matched Sumerian tablets from the other side of the world. But the Sumerians had no ships capable of crossing the Atlantic, no record of such voyages, no reason to be in South America. The experts who authenticated the bowl were quietly removed from their university positions. The artifact was placed in a private collection. Further testing became difficult to arrange. Public access was denied. Skeptics claim the bowl is a modern forgery, carved to resemble ancient writing. But the linguistic precision is too accurate. Forgers don't replicate grammatical structures from dead languages with that level of detail. Some researchers believe ancient Sumerians did reach South America through routes we haven't considered. Others suggest a shared origin, a common source of knowledge that influenced both cultures independently. The Fuente Magna bowl is physical evidence that something happened, a connection that shouldn't exist, and the answers remain locked away. In the barren hills of southeastern Turkey, archaeologists uncovered stone pillars carved with intricate symbols. Some weighed 20 tons. They were arranged in perfect circles, built 11,600 years ago by people with no metal tools, no written language, no centralized cities. Göbekli Tepe redefined what we thought hunter-gatherers could achieve, and then something strange emerged. After constructing the temple, the builders buried it, deliberately. They hauled in 300,000 cubic meters of earth and covered the entire site. The effort would have taken decades. Why build something so monumental only to hide it? Recent excavations revealed older layers beneath the known structure, possibly 14,000 years old or more, each layer more complex than the last. In 2020, the Turkish government restricted further digging. No official explanation, no timeline given. Mainstream archaeology suggests the burial was ritualistic, a way of sealing sacred space. But that doesn't account for the scale of effort or the precision of the burial. Moving that much earth by hand, without machines, would require generations of labor. Some believe Göbekli Tepe was built by a civilization far older than we acknowledge, one that understood astronomy and engineering at levels we're only beginning to recognize. Others think the deeper layers contain something disruptive, knowledge or evidence that rewrites human origins. The temple is still there, still mostly buried, still waiting. And every stone uncovered raises more questions than it answers. 7 objects, 7 mysteries, each one real, documented, studied, and then either explained away or quietly set aside. The Bosnian Pyramid still transmits. The Paracas skulls still sit untested. The Taos cave remains sealed. These aren't stories. They're artifacts asking us to reconsider what we think we know. Which object should we investigate next? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more videos like this, a like and a subscription help a lot.